What's going on, guys? It's Ali here from Becksport Media. I had hoped to be talking to you live from stage 5 of the border counties, but unfortunately due to the weather our live stream equipment has had a bit of a malfunction with the cold and the rain. But we have a camera, we have microphones, we've got a guest commentator. So here we are in SS6, Hindley, the final stage of the first round of the KNC Groundworks Scottish Rally Championship. Said we would have a guest commentator, so here he is, Neil Shanks, who has been British Junior Co-Driver Champion.
A long time ago, Ali.
But you can say that, I'm not going to say that. British Group N Co-Driving Champion.
Also a long time ago.
It's fair enough. At the start of the day, 3 of the drivers he's co-driven for were in the top 10. I believe there's only 1 left still running.
Yeah, Friday's the only one still going, surprisingly.
That's a bit unfortunate. I can't blame you for that, though.
Nothing to do with me.
And obviously you're an organiser of the events as well. The next event we're going to the Speyside stages. You're involved with the Scottish Championship. You've co-driven all over Britain, Ireland, and you've been in Belgium. So you're a perfect guy to help us talk us through what's happening here today with the last stage of this rally.
Thanks for that, Ali. I don't know about a perfect guy to help you, but I'll do my best throwing in at the deep end. Looking forward to seeing how the guys get on here. We're just off the start line of the last stage, SS6. In Hindley. The guys were through here earlier this morning in reverse direction, so the stage finished just at the top of the hill where you can see all the marshals' cars parked. So stage switched round for the afternoon and we're almost ready to go.
And being it's the last stage and it's been, let's face it, a pretty rough day weather wise, are they going to be going for it, or is it going to be I must get this home at this point?
Yeah, it's out at the front. I mean, Ewan's put on a charge through the middle of the day there. And at first service he was sitting down the field a little bit, but he's had 2 good times through the last 2 stages, and he's in what looks like a comfortable 30-second lead going into stage 5 there. We've obviously lost Peter Taylor, who was sitting equal first place with Gary Pearson at first service. Gary's also dropped a bit of time through stage 3, and he's down now in a battle with Jock for second place. So those 2 guys will certainly still have things to settle over the last 2 stages, so be interesting to see how that one finishes up.
Yeah, and just as you say that, the rain begins again, so it could be pretty slippy in here. Obviously we've still got the 2-wheel drives running at the front again, like they have been all day, so I don't know, it could be interesting even for those wee 2-wheel drives trying to get up this big hill at the start here.
Yeah, obviously they've got to take the slippiness off the road for everyone else. It's been a while for a lot of them since they've done it. Some of them it'll be brand new to them, so it's definitely a skill to learn how the road's different when you're your first car on it. This one won't be so bad because the lines will have been swept from the morning, but they will be finding some loose gravel in places, braking zones from earlier on, which will now be acceleration zones. So it will be slippy for them and they'll have to keep their wits about them.
Okay then, so basically we've just got to wait for some cars now, so you'll hear our voices hopefully over the top of what action we get to see. It's quite a nice wee bit of a twist down the hill and over the bridge. Could be interesting. I have heard that this corner's caught out Steve Bannister in the past, so it's a pretty famous corner, I would say. Well,
that could have been any time in the last 40 years though, Ali, so it's maybe even a different road since then, but no, it's a tricky enough little start to the stage. Just as they come out a shot here, they're on about a 500 metre long straight, so the next braking zone will really test their commitment. So we're underway. Just gonna make sure to get your braking right for the bridge here.
It's a bit of a thump coming off that.
Yeah, Jim Stevenson and Rob Brooke in the 1600 Sunbeam. Putting the power down away up the straight there. Yeah, it's just quite tricky to make sure you get your braking right for the right hander onto the bridge with the parapets. It's quite easy to get caught out, especially in the rain. It can be really sloppy under braking. It's very, very easy just to run a little bit wide and clip that parapet, and that could be your day over.
I would say it's rare to have sunbeams, but we did have 3 at the start of the event, which is pretty good these days for sunbeams.
Ah, it's nice to see someone other than an Escort, right enough, when you're talking old rally cars.
You got to be careful. You sit in an Escort quite regularly now.
That's very true. Aye. Something a bit more modern now. It's in the first our SRC competitors. It's Fraser Smith in the Honda Civic. Taking it very carefully over the bridge, making sure get the power down up the straight now. Yeah, I'm sure Fraser will be glad just to get to the end and get some championship points in his class today.
Especially this, I think this is only his second gravel rally. He did the hills, I think was his first one. He's been a tarmac man before that, so...
Aye, he'll be learning a lot today then, that's for sure. But yeah, after 4 stages, he's sitting second in his class, so I'm sure he'll be delighted with that.
Absolutely. Especially a class with R2s and what have you in it, and that's not that crazy modified a car, I would say.
No, indeed. It's just shows you sometimes you're better keeping things standard and getting reliability. I think this is maybe an Avenger. So we've had a Sunbeam on an Avenger in the first 3 cars.
One of our historics.
Yeah, I can see a lot more commitment over the bridge there. Yeah, it's Keith Davison from Newcastle Teesside direction in the Avenger. I'm sure he'll be well up in his class. This is Rue Campbell from up north. He's had a long journey to get here. Yeah, Rue actually navigating for Rue. We've got Mike Motes, the son of Mike Motes, who's run the Subaru Cup. You'll see him a bit later on, and also one of the Championship Associate sponsors this year. So Mike's a young guy, he's just getting into rallying, so yeah, it's good to see him out and getting some experience in a variety of cars. We've gone from one of the, I think this is going from one of the oldest cars in the field to one of the newest, and this is Lindsay Henderson in the 1 litre turbo Fiesta, just picked up from Derek McGarrity in Ireland. It's an ex-World Junior World Championship car, so Lindsay will be glad to get to the end today, I'm sure. It's not really a day to learn a new car.
And of course, if I don't say this, Digby will kill me. She's a Junior 1000 graduate.
Indeed. They really are amazing little cars, those, you know, 998cc turbo and 150 brake horsepower. They're fantastic little rally cars, real proper bits of kit, adjustable suspension, sequential gearbox. You know, they really are, and it's, you know, if somebody had told you 5 years ago that you'd be rallying 1 litre rally cars, you'd be thinking about the 14-year-old junior guys, as we talked about, yeah, Digby's juniors. But no, these cars are more than a match for their 1600cc compatriots now, so just shows you how far they've come with a bit of development.
I would imagine a day like today, actually, the turbo might actually help you out in this. You're not revving as high, you're not digging as many big holes, maybe. Yeah,
certainly. It's the trick will be keeping it on the turbo and no bogging it down. But yeah, there will be an advantage to driving the turbo. You don't have to be as fully committed to the throttle, keeping the revs up as you do in the high rev and C2R2s and things like that. This is Stuart and Linda Carris, another Northern Historic competitors, husband and wife.
Nice to see a Mark 1 out.
Indeed.
The rear wheel drive car's having a bit of an easier time up this hill.
They seem to be putting the power down a bit easier.
I suppose we also, with the seeding, we are going from what's reckoned to be the slower competitors to the quicker competitors, so that might have to factor in a wee bit with that too.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, we're getting into the more experienced guys now. The guys running at the front are invariably just starting out in the sport, and they're doing their learning in front of everyone, as it would be. The cars will get quicker. Obviously, towards the end, we'll see the 4-wheel drive cars. Another Sunbeam, I think. Or is that an Escort? No, it's an Escort.
I think this might be Ian Milne.
Yeah, Ian and Don Milne. Another one of the historic cars.
I believe Don's on our first rally.
I believe so.
That's brave, is it not, to have your wife co-driving for you?
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see if they're still speaking at the end of the day. But no, Ian's a great guy. He's come back to the sport fairly recently after a long time away. He was a real quick guy in his youth. Stopped rallying to develop a business and with a growing family, and was lucky enough to be able to come back, and he's built himself a very, very nice.
It is absolutely beautiful. When
a nice BD engine Mark II, you know, a Group 4 historic car. So Ian loves his rally, and he's always smiling, always happy, and he's a nice guy. Another Escort. Afraid I'm not sure who this is. Yeah, Mick Plowman, I believe Mick's from south of the border. That's been the southernmost Scottish Championship round. We tend to get a lot of invaders coming from over the border. Enjoy the Scottish forests. And that sounds like it's maybe a bit more of a powerful Escort than what Ian was running, though. It does, yeah. I mean, I think that's a modern car rather than being a historic one. That's probably could be a Vauxhall 2-litre engine, possibly. And speaking of Escorts, we've had a few of our big Escorts kind of disappear today a wee bit, I think. It's not been a day for high-powered rear-wheel drive cars, so it's maybe no surprise that they're thinning out. It's quite difficult to drive in conditions like this. We're definitely into the Escort train now. Yeah. Another one of our English competitors, I believe. Yeah, Charlie Carter and Dave Forrest are another Yorkshire crew doing the Northern Historic Championship. Compete against those guys on Raponian rallies in the past and things, so good to see them up, making the journey up to Jedburgh. Now, if I'm right looking up there, I think that might be Scott Peacock on the start line. I believe it is, yeah. It's completely different type of car now. Going from a 2-litre Mark II back to a 1400 MGZR, Group N, almost showroom spec. This is a strange story, but bear with me, I was in the Chippy last night in Jedburgh. Surely not. Talking to his dad. Apparently later on this year they're actually going away to Finland to do an event in Donald's 205. Scott's going to co-drive for them. And they get to recce and everything, so that could be interesting. Excellent. I don't know what a 205's like in Finland, if I'm honest. Can't imagine there'd be too many of them left over there. Yeah, Scott will be in the middle of a class battle, I'm sure, with Niall Cowan Jr. 2018 Scottish Junior Champion. They had some good fights last year. Yeah, they did. Towards the end when Scott got his car to finish events, it was really quite good. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a close battle throughout the year again. We'll see Niall shortly. He's running just slightly further up the field, in a very similar MGZR. Could be another Escort, I believe, on the line. Quickly consult my entry list here to have a guess who it might be. I believe this could be Alistair Brearley. It's another blast from the past. It certainly is. Yeah, Alistair, who was one of the front running guys in the Scottish Championship. Our slightly older cameraman informs us that he won the event twice in the 70s, but of course we're far too young to be remembering that. It's my dad, you can insult him this way. He knows he's quite old, I guess you would say. I did hear a story that Alistair last year went and did one of the rallies at Crail. It was his first time back in this Escort he'd built, and he thought, I'm going to be on it, no bother, it's going to be like riding a bike. And the first stage he started braking for the first corner, and then had to change back up some gears because he'd braked about 300 yards far too early. He's just not used to modern tyres, I don't think. Yeah, it just goes to show you it maybe never leaves you, but it takes a while to come back. This is the aforementioned Neil Cowan Jr. Yeah, well, and keeping in that corner there.
It's done a lot of work over the winter to that car. I think he did a full rebuild on it, and I believe it's got a bit more power this year, some new throttle bodies and things like that in the engine.
Yeah, I believe so, Ollie. Yeah, you can see just trying to speed the scrub off for the bridge there, trying to get the speed back on coming up the hill there. It does sap the power of these smaller engine cars.
And of course, he's been getting tuition from his mentor, Mr. Jock Armstrong, who we'll see later on, I hope.
Indeed, yeah. Jock, of course, with the luxury of having his own private testing facility. There's
Absolutely.
so many guys you can say that about. But no, I mean, all speak about testing. Obviously, Niall had some testing from had some tuition with Tapio Laukkanen last year as part of his junior champion prize, and he told us that was a fantastic experience, and he really couldn't believe how much he got out of the day. So that's really nice to hear. This
is the aforementioned Donald Peacock, who I was talking to in the chippy last night, I believe, anyway.
It's a bit of family rivalry here. Donald chasing after Scott.
And he's got Keith Riddick sitting with him to this weekend. You know, Keith's got a quite fast little Super 1600 MG when he's...
Yeah, Keith, of course, the first winner of the John Horton Star Driver.
Absolutely.
And he could also turn his hand to navigating, so he's fairly talented, but it must be something to do with the surname.
Well, there's been a few big Riddick family members in this championship, even going back to their dad who's competing.
Yeah, Mike himself was a very quick driver in his day. Now obviously you've got Kirsty and Murray, and are more than accomplished co-drivers in their own right. Kirsty over in Ireland this weekend in West Cork with Johnny Greer. Now that might confuse you. We said we'd see the four-wheel drive cars later on, but a Galant snuck in there, but he's running towards the front of the field because he's running the historic class.
It's Tom Coftree is a former sponsor of an event that used to run out of Ayr.
Indeed, yeah. The owner of Almo as it was.
He did the Malcolm Wilson recently, and unfortunately got to the last time control at the end of the last stage, having had a great run through the stage. I think he said he was 15th fastest or something. Car cut out, and that was the MOTL, unfortunately. Having won the class by miles in the actual forest.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if we see more four-wheel drive historic cars coming into sport. Fairly recently that they've been allowed in, and the Gallant's one of the few that are regularly competing. But as you've seen the way it took out the bridge there, they've got a huge traction and power advantage.
It's Paddy Munro.
Yeah, Paddy, another one down from the north to compete. Paddy was the very first nominee for the John Horton Star Driver
last year.
Mm-hmm. Took his nomination in a snowy snowman. We did a fantastic result. Another one of Rallying's good guys is Paddy. He loves the sport, and he's committed as he would have to be to travel all the way down from Skye the way he does.
And it was looking like his class with the Pinto engined escorts was going to be a good battle, because we had Douglas Watt out, we had Fraser McNichol out, all in very similar kind of spec. I think Paddy's maybe a wee bit down the scale in terms of spec to Fraser's and Douglas's, but it could be quite good. I don't know how they've got on today.
Yeah, it's always good to see some close class competition. I think, well, unfortunately we've lost Fraser. I believe he had power steering problems earlier today, so we've lost him. I'm not sure if Douglas is still going. Yeah, another one of our Sunbeams, our fleet of Sunbeams today.
I think that one was Martin Crombie, who had a 306 last year. That I think he managed to roll on the Speyside.
Yeah, I believe he did. Yeah, he was a victim of a new piece of road in Balloch, and I think he rolled almost within sight of the start line.
To be fair, he did have his 306 up in the top 30, which for an old 306 is pretty good at the time. He was going well.
Yeah, that's certainly not to be sniffed at. And we have absolutely no idea who that was because there was no name inside of the car. Unusual to see an E30 BMW out. Nice sound, sounds like a 6-cylinder.
We actually had 2 out though. We had Ernie Lee, certainly was here earlier on, and you being a class battle with Ian Milne.
Yeah, that's Chris Melling. So I'm afraid I've got no information on Chris. So apologies to him for that. But yeah, nice sounding BMW there. I believe he was quite well running a bit further up the field than he is now. He lost some time earlier on.
I think this might be the aforementioned Douglas Watt. You can definitely hear the power difference to Paddy's.
Yeah, this is a beautifully prepared Mark II. If you're out and about the events, have a look at this.
Built of course by Hamish Kinloch, master of escorts I believe.
Yeah, I think certainly if you're in the market for a well prepared Mark II escort, Hamish is the man to speak to. He's built some lovely cars.
A good co-driver back in the day as well.
My dad used to co-drive for him. So
okay, right.
I have to mention these things that he had a very
good we get these gems information thrown in. Yeah, you know, it's kind of thing you wouldn't get on any other broadcast.
Absolutely
really,
no. But Hamish has obviously just finished building David Bogey's monster of a tarmac escort.
Yeah, David had that one out first time out at Donegal Harvest in November over in Ireland. I was actually doing that event myself. Another of last year's Star Drive nominees. This is Stephen Wood, his wife Mary in the notes.
It's another one that over the winter he was saying he's got a new flywheel set up, revs a bit higher, a bit more power. He's definitely taking it seriously. These Duncan MacDonald and Paul Mackerlane kind of guys that are in their big escorts. He's trying to compete with them in what, let's face it, should be a front wheel drive car, but it's a rear wheel drive car.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, it's Stephen's pace really come on last year. First season, I think, in a long time that he'd been able to set out and contest the championship, and you really saw over the course of the season his pace improved in each event. Another interesting little snippet. I would imagine that Mary's the only competitor competing today who was actually showing at London Fashion Week a few weeks ago.
Right. I did not know that.
Yeah, and you see in the back quarter of the Fiesta there, Loch Dress. That's Mary's company, and she was invited down to show her designs at London Fashion Week. Interestingly enough.
Fair play. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's another one of the local experts, Barry Lindsay, Caroline Lodge on the notes. Barry's a very quick guy in front wheel drive cars in this area, especially does a lot of tarmac events. He also has got a 106 tarmac car, and he's got that 206 gravel car. Does all his rallying kind of in the south of Scotland, North England, and concentrates on the local championship.
He did come and do Argyll last year, which I thought was interesting. He had been talking about maybe coming and do a few more Scottish rounds.
That's always good to hear. Yeah, you always like to get some of these guys up here. It's another of our SRC competitors, Gordon Murray from Perth. Another nice escort there. Gordon runs a motorhome hire company. He's been good enough to help us out with some Marshall prizes in the Speyside. And Gordon's another guy who likes his rallying. He's had a variety of cars over the years. It's probably fair to say it's taken him a long time to fall in love with the escort, but I think he's there now. He really enjoys driving it. And it's one of the bigger power cars there, as you probably be able to tell with the way it put the power down.
It's a difficult day for him today, I imagine, because it was this event where he had that massive accident 2 years ago in that car, wrote it off big time.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I'm sure he's quite glad not to be going back to the Tweed Valley where the accident happened.
It's Rob and Carol Chua. You can tell from the colour scheme, because that's their colour scheme, black with green stripes.
Indeed, yeah.
Adopted Scottish people at this point.
Yeah, you can hear that that little Swift really hunting for grip as it's coming up the hill there.
I did hear this morning they had to get a tractor to pull the car and trailer out when they tried to come to the start of the rally with the snow, which was unfortunate, but being farmers, tractors will be handy to get.
Well, indeed, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting start to their weekend anyway. Yeah, Rob and Carl have rallied together for a lot of years, and they've almost exclusively rallied high-powered front-wheel drive cars. They've had a variety of a Super 1600 and 2-litre machinery, and he really seems to love driving that Swift. So Fiesta ST.
This will be a blast from the past for you, Neil.
Indeed, yeah. Another guy that's returned to the sport. Yeah, Bobby Mitchell. Very quick guy. When he started out rallying, he progressed up to the ST Championship when Ford were back in that championship, and unfortunately, I think he ran out of funding at that time. But he's back, and this is his third or fourth event back behind the wheel, and he's starting to get to grips with it again, and I'm sure he'll show his pace as the year goes on. I
remember when he had his yellow 205, he was the only man that could make a front wheel drive 205 look like an Escort. The way he drove it was basically sideways everywhere, but somehow it was quick. I didn't quite understand how that works, but...
You've obviously got a better memory than me, Ali. You remember a lot of these details, it seems. Yeah, Ian Wilson, Chris Williams, and the Escort, the lovingly called Bella.
Another one returning from a big rebuild after last year.
Indeed, yeah. Ian went from a four-wheel drive Subaru back to the Escort, and he had the misfortune to have a bit of a shunt in Greystoke last year. An event he was doing to get some mileage, so he's rebuilt it over the winter, and he's back out, and he's really made a beautiful job of it. Interesting to note that the car actually won the Autolux Details Award for the best presented car. It's scrutineering this weekend, so
that's pretty deserved, if I'm honest.
I would say so as well, and I'm sure Ian will be delighted to get that award. And thanks to Mark at Autolux for his support.
And here's the legend himself.
This man
is
needs
his corner.
Man needs no introduction. The red stripe says it all. Yeah, Steve Bannister and Callum Atkinson.
An Escort legend, I think you can say at this point.
Indeed. I mean, Steve's been rallying for 40 plus years. He's no lost any of his speed over the years. He's always a very tough guy to beat in an Escort, and unsurprisingly, he's lying first to the two-wheel drive cars at the moment. Okay, so we're in our four-wheel drive cars now. I can see the distinctive orange nose. Jock Armstrong sitting on the start line. Jock car 1. 2 times Scottish champion. Indeed. Life and soul of the Scottish Championship, I think it's fair to say, as Jock is.
He was doing handstands on the stage last night in the hall at signing on, so that gives you an idea how wound up he was for this weekend.
Yeah, sounds like Jock. So yeah, I've been able to get some updated results for stage 5. So just with coming into the last stage here, Ewan Thorburn leads by 34 seconds over Gary Pearson, and Jock Armstrong's only 2 behind Gary, so there's a big battle there for the final podium step.
2016 all over again between Jock and Gary, it looks like.
Indeed. And then in 4th we've got Steve Petch, who's no one of our championship registered competitors, but then there's an almighty battle for 5th. Freddie Milne and Michael Binney sitting tied on times going into the last stage here, but behind Freddie and Michael, it looks like our next championship registered crew would be Ian Bainbridge, who's a newcomer to the Scottish Championship, and I think probably fair to say quite new to rallying itself.
He's had some tuition from David Higgins, I believe, with that car at the end of last year.
Well, he's certainly going about it the right way then. And we're away.
Massive difference to the two-wheel drives now.
Huge difference in speed. Away up the straight there. Jock's car, 2-litre engine. Production-based chassis, although it's had a lot of development. It's one of the less sophisticated cars running in the top half dozen cars here, and to be able to mix it with R5 cars really shows Jock's talent.
It does say a lot, I think.
He's a fantastic driver. He's got a lot of knowledge of the stages, yeah, but you've still to drive them, and to be putting the times he does in a production-based car against the R5 and World Rally cars is superb. So Gary Pearson trying to keep that slender 2-second advantage over Jock. Nice and controlled for the bridge there. Certainly no taking any risks.
Got that classic R5 turbo whistle when he comes off the throttle there.
Yeah, you can see the car pitches and rolls a lot more as well. Very softly sprung, the R5 cars. And the suspension travels massive, and that's where these cars, they're only 1600 cc's, so they give away a bit in power to Jock's car and to the 2-litre World Rally cars, but what they lack in power they make up for in handling.
Looks like we've got Stephen Petch, I should say, not Steve, because Steve's his dad apparently. He's Stephen.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah,
quite often comes and does this event. It's the only one time we really see him in Scotland, but
yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier on, Stephen will be keen to get some miles under his belt after Malcolm Wilson last weekend when it was a very early bath for him. Yeah, Steve's Fiesta. It's a 2-litre Fiesta World Rally car. Not quite as up-to-date technology in the chassis as the R5 cars, but it's still got that power from the 2-litre engine, so it's the best of both worlds.
I believe that's Ewan Thorburn on the start line. That's our rally leader.
It is, yeah. Yeah, Ewan, fantastic start to the season.
Definitely the man on form coming into this event.
Indeed, two starts, 2 wins, first 2 events in that car, so it's fair to say he's come back to the sport in top form. What about a moment coming round that corner? Yeah, try to carry a little bit too much speed round the left-hander there, didn't quite get the nose tucked in, and back end came out on him, all under control. That
car does have pedigree in Scotland. Apparently it's the one that David Bogie used to win the Reavers in the Jim Clerk a few years ago. So it's won in Scotland before.
Yeah, well, it's only 6 miles from its second victory in Scotland. It certainly looks like it, unless there's anything unforeseen, then Ewan and Paul are going to start their championship off in the best way they can.
Yeah, after he goes by and we'll do a cut.
Yeah, Ian Bainbridge and Mark Fisher, new to the Scottish Championship, and getting their championship campaign off with a good result at the moment, lying comfortably inside the top 10.
He came and did the Scottish last year in that car and found the one puddle in the entire day, because it was a gloriously sunny day, and managed to soak me and my camera when I was filming, and it actually killed the camera briefly.
We're not going to hold that against him though.
No,
I believe Ian's come to rallying from motorbike racing. He's quite handy in 2 wheels, so he's now transferred over to 4 wheels, and certainly he's getting to grips with it fairly quickly.
And I think with the tuition from David Higgins, that's definitely going to help him get there faster.
Definitely. But Scott Macbeth obviously in a push here. Yeah, Scott trying hard. He's come back to four-wheel drive, dabbled with it briefly a couple of seasons ago in a Group N car.
Had a brilliant start to the day though, with 5th fastest in this stage the first time through.
Indeed, yeah. Scott's another one of the guys that I've had the good fortune to sit beside. Did the Pirelli with him last year in the C2R2, and unfortunately the day didn't last very long with mechanical problems in the second stage, and didn't really get a chance to show what he's capable of. But very committed, very fast, tidy driver, and he's shown that today. It's a fantastic way to start his Scottish Championship season. Aggressive anti-lag there in the Evo 6.
It may have killed our cameraman's eardrums, as he's got headphones in to make sure our mics are working. But that's Keith Morris, who is another blast from the past.
Indeed, yeah. Keith was, I believe, an ex-British junior team member in his youth. Another guy who stepped away from the sport to concentrate on family and business, and he's built a successful trailer business in Aberdeen. And he's come back 2 or 3 years ago, and he's starting to really find his pace again. Tail end of last year, he was getting into the top 10. So
yeah, he said to us last year he remembers having really big 1600 Sunbeam battles with Andy Kelly. So that tells you how long ago it was.
Indeed. This is another battle we've got going on. Thomas Gray. Comes into the last stage here in 7th place, just a handful of seconds in front of Scott Macbeth. So,
and they're good mates, so that is the important battle, I think.
Indeed, there'll be a big push on between those two to try and get in front by the end of the stage. So, it'll be interesting to see how that one figures out.
Overall position won't matter; it's whether or not you beat your pal.
Indeed. But yeah, I mean, Thomas, another guy who's new to four-wheel drive. Very quick in front-wheel drive cars. R2 Fiesta laterally. Had a year out of the sport last year, and he's towards the end of the year he bought this Evo 9, and showed very good pace today to be lying comfortably inside the top 10. And him and Scott obviously fighting with Michael Binney for the first Evo honours. Lovely looking, lovely sounding Fabia Super 2000 Bob Adamson.
With our current champion co-driver in the hot seat.
Indeed, yeah. Jane Nichol in beside, lot of experience. She'll be pushing Bob on today, I'm sure. Those two have done a few rallies together now, and I think Jane's in with Bob for the championship season. So I'd expect his pace to climb as the year goes on.
It's definitely a difficult car to drive for him. I think I remember last year in Cooper Park on the Speyside, he was backwards in the first corner, which is not great.
Yeah, he's not got the benefit of the turbo in the Super 2000 there, so he's got to be committed on the throttle. Any lift off, he loses all his momentum, and it takes a little while to build the steam up again. So lovely sounding car, though. Really nice cars. Quite high tech as well on the Forerunner to R5 cars. So a lot of development went into those cars, and they work very well.
You can see that in the suspensions, quite similar to what an R5's got now.
Indeed, yeah. No so much travel, but it certainly finds the grip and soaks up the bumps. I mean, didn't notice there's a little kick off the bridge just in front of us there that especially the two-wheel drive cars were noticing, but the four-wheel drive cars with the better suspension just soak it up like it's not there. I think this could be a two-wheel drive interloper in our four-wheel drive cars. I think this is Paul Mucker Lane.
Now, he told me to say this, I have to say this. This is his co-driver's third ever event with a quick driver.
With a quick driver?
With a quick driver. Now, that was a dig at his previous driver. I guess he's mates with him back in Ireland.
Yeah, there's certainly no lack of commitment there from Paul.
You know, I should say it's not his normal co-driver. Niall, actually, his wife recently had a baby, so Niall's taking a wee bit of time off to be daddy for a while before he comes back.
But no, it's good to see Paul. He's become a championship regular over the last 2 and a bit years, and really enjoys his forays over at Scotland, which is great to see. It's, we always like to think that we're a friendly championship and very competitive, and the quality of the events and the stages are second to none. And I think Paul's testament to that by choosing to come over the water from Ireland, where he's got a myriad of choice to come back and do these Scottish events. So it's nice to see him back for another year.
Yeah, he's always the first to say that he loves the Scottish roads. Just thinks they're brilliant.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Yeah, unfortunately Paul's dropped a bit of time. Looks like he'd issues in the last stage. He's dropped 16 places in the last stage there, so it looks like it's put a dampener on his day.
I mean, he was telling us last night, signing on, he had issues when he rolled the car off the trailer to go to scrutineering, so I think if he's still running at this point, he's probably pretty happy still.
Yeah, it's always your worst nightmare, the technical issues before you can even start the event. And unfortunately that's befallen Simon Hay earlier on today.
Another one of our championship supporters.
Indeed, yeah, Simon's come on board to sponsor the Challengers Championship. And Simon looking forward to getting back out. He'd a bit of a year off last year, he got married and other things, and he came back this year fully refreshed, looking forward to giving the championship a good go. And the car developed some engine problems on the way at the start this morning, so he was back up the road to Aberdeen before lunchtime, which certainly wasn't what he'd planned on his championship return.
Although he had grown a very, very long beard since I last saw him, so I don't know, is that not an issue with weight then?
I don't think so much weight. It's probably more the folk songs he wants to play over the intercom in the car. It might be the problem, I'd imagine. Very Mumford and Sons. Yeah, another guy who's stepped up from two-wheel drive machine, Alec Perret. Yeah, Alec's local to myself, from Keith. He's always done his rallying in two-wheel drive cars. Gained a Star Drive nomination in 2017 using a C2. Stepped up to a unique 2-litre Skoda Felicia kit car last year. Didn't really work.
No. So
he's come out to try Subaru Power, and he's entered the Subaru Cup. And quite interesting, we're on their way out the first stage this morning. Alex stopped me and asked me, how do I drive this thing?
Well,
one thing, if he's asking me for tips on driving, then he is in trouble.
We did say earlier on, the co-driver mainly, we would say.
Indeed. Mike Moats has pointed out his son earlier on in Maru Campbell and the Sunbeam. That's Mike, the father. It sounds like he's possibly got some manifold issues in the Subaru there. It doesn't sound quite on 100% form there. So he'll be glad to get to the end. Mike and his company Moats Offshore, a new company based in Aberdeen, formed last year. They've come on board as a championship sponsor, and it's good to see Mike getting hopefully what will be a finish in the first round of the season. I hope I've not jinxed him by saying that.
Definitely a man that's needing a bit of luck in that department anyway. So
indeed. And another crew coming up from two-wheel to four-wheel drive, and another crew who had a year off last year. Former junior champions, Redpath brothers of Redpath Tyres.
It's a bit of a step up from a 205, I would say.
Indeed, yeah. Another guy looking at the Subaru Cup, and good to see that there's a strong entry in that this year. Guys stepping up, particularly from two-wheel drives, which is what is envisaged as. It's a feeder championship to get into four-wheel drive cars on a budget, but still have some close competition.
And traditionally GC8s, they're really nice to drive, supposedly.
Yeah, they're a nice introduction to four-wheel drive rally, and they're no too difficult to drive. They're quite predictable, and it's a really good clubman car. It's probably the clubman car of choice now. as we see with another one coming off the line. Yeah, Andy Chalmers from up Aberdeen direction. He's another guy who came from a 205 and into the Subaru last year.
Had a wee play with a Mark II for a while.
Indeed he did, yeah. I forgot about that. Yes, he did. And he's now back with the Subaru for another year and getting his championship off to a decent start.
Another one of these guys, if you have a bit of luck, he's actually pretty quick.
Indeed, yeah. He hasn't had a lot of luck traditionally. Andy, he's had issues, and it doesn't look like the car's on 100% form there. He's down the results certainly after stage 5. He's towards the tail end of the leaderboard, so it suggests that he's had some issues today. And we're getting towards the tail end of the 4-wheel drive field now. There's not that many more left to come. I'm consulting my entry list here to see how many more we can expect.
We do have lights at the start line.
Yeah, I think we're only expecting probably another 3 or 4 cars at the most. Yeah, unfortunately, one of the 4-wheel drive cars we're not going to see this afternoon, Kevin Crawford. Kevin, who owns KNC Groundworks, and they've kindly come on board as the championship main sponsor for 2019. Very enthusiastic for his rally, and he's fairly new to the sport, Kevin, but he loves his rally, and he's a very enthusiastic sponsor. But unfortunately, they've had issues earlier on today. New car for Kevin this year. He stepped up to an Evo 9.
So it's the ex-Scott McCombie car, if I'm right.
I believe it is, yes, but that's certainly not the way he'll have wanted to start his championship campaign this year of all years.
He'll still be smiling. It's Kev.
Kevin will be happy. He always is. Yeah, you're right. But no, I'm gutted for him actually, because he's really put a lot into. He's done a lot of testing and preparation for this event, and he's been really excited to see his name on the championship and all the championship branding. So let's hope that he's a better run in Elgin in 4 or 5 weeks' time.
Yeah, one of these guys that the car paint scheme matches, the service van paint scheme matches the business paint scheme. It's all very...
Indeed, it's all done properly. Yeah, it's another English compare. I think Kevin Downs in Evo 9. Yeah, Kevin with Dick Wardle alongside him, Dick, who's done a lot of Scottish Championship events, and Kevin's also registered for the championship this year, so hopefully we'll see him up in Elgin in a few weeks' time. He's traditionally done events around this area, south of Scotland, North England, Yorkshire, but hopefully we'll see him make the long trek up to Elgin in a few weeks.
If I remember rightly, there was only one car behind him this morning at the start of stage 1, so this could be our final competitor, possibly.
Yeah, I think you could be right, Ali. Yeah, and as we say that, the sweeper flashing lights, the sweeper car coming into view. I'm going to need a bit of help with this one because I don't recognise this car, I'm afraid.
Definitely tried its best to throw him off the road there, off the bridge.
Yeah, it's a little bit squirrely there.
I see a guy trying right to the end.
Yeah, Paul Collins, another Subaru Cup competitor in the GC8, so he's our last runner. So thanks for joining us on, I think it's not quite SRC Live, maybe SRC Relive you could call it.
Live-ish, something. We'll think of a snappier title.
Or could have been live, but the equipment let us down.
Yeah.
Better weather in Speyside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so hope to see you all tuned in again. 20th April for the McDonald Munro Speyside stages up in Elgin. You'll be glad to know that I'm not on the microphone for that one. I'm busy that day.
To be fair, you were a bit last minute press ganged into this anyway, Neil. So
yeah, I was most disappointed when I found out that it wasn't 100% behind the camera and had to do a bit to camera. But no, it's been good, and thanks guys for having me. And
well, thank you for doing it.
Yeah, and we'll see everyone in a few weeks' time.